All right, you've got 7:03 and you are live.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the May 19th, 2021 meeting of the City of Oneonta Planning Commission. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Lappin,
Here.
Vice Chair Overby is excused. Commissioner Maskin,
Here.
Commissioner Stanton. Yeah. Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Thomas, I believe you're muted.
Sorry, here.
That's okay. Commissioner Digan
Here.
and Councilmember Risberger.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. So looking at the agenda, it looks like we have the review of the minutes from the April 21st meeting. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes? Or is there any items for discussion about the minutes? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from last meeting.
Thank you. There's a motion made by Commissioner Thomas. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Digan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. I guess you could just do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes to approve the minutes.
Hold it, Danny. I'm going to abstain because I was not at the meeting last month.
Oh, okay. So there's one abstention.
That motion will fail. It will be
The motion will
reconsidered at your
fail.
next meeting.
We don't have
Okay,
a
so then
quorum.
it'll just be held.
Okay.
Okay, so Carrie, is there any correspondence?
There is no correspondence.
Okay, are there any petitioners here to address the commission today?
You have, as you see, a fair number of petitioners. They are all attached to a property on the agenda, however.
Okay, so once we get to the property on the agenda, we can go hear the petitioners. Okay, so first on the agenda, it looks like we have Phi Kappa Psi, who reside at 56 Maple Street. Is there a representative from Phi Kappa Psi present?
Yeah, there's two of us. One that lives there currently and one that's the president.
How you doing? My name is Jermaine J. and Dix.
Very nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you as well.
So before we get started, are there any petitioners here today to talk about the gentleman from Phi Kappa Psi's application? Okay.
I'm sure that if it's not us, I know Dan is also here.
Okay, so why don't you guys tell us about your special use permit?
You have
This is-
Councilmember Risberger wishing to address the commission.
Sure, go ahead. Councilmember Risberger, go ahead.
Sorry, Dan, there's an awful lot of people in this meeting, so it's not easy to see anybody that's looking to speak. But this fraternity is in my ward. I know there's been a lot of changes in the last couple years, and with COVID, it's made it very difficult to have any kind of gathering or reaching out with this group like we used to. This group used to do a trash cleanup in the ward twice a year. I know that they had some issues with the house, some pretty serious issues with the house, and I believe the house was sold to and has a new owner now. And this group is looking to get back in the house as a fraternity. In the past, they've been a good group. The liaison between the college and the group is pretty reliable. And I would support their petition this year. And I'd like to see what happens with a brand new full year in the house, even under new ownership, to see hopefully they can get back to the level of fraternity that they were a couple of years ago. So I look forward to working with them.
Thank you, Councilmember Risberger. Appreciate your input.
Thank you as well, Mr. Risberger. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So there's just a little bit of background if there are members of the public who aren't familiar with the process of reviewing the special use permits for our various fraternities and sororities. Every year, the commission reviews the special use permits for a certain number of fraternities and sororities who have their permits up for review again. And so this gives a chance for the fraternities to introduce themselves to the community, talk a little bit about why they feel that their special use permit should be renewed. It gives the commission a chance to review all the documentation about regarding the special use permit criteria established in the city zoning code. And then it allows us to kind of make a formal decision on the record whether or not to renew the permit. So this is kind of an added layer of transparency and an opportunity to build goodwill between us and the college community. So gentlemen, why don't you go a little bit over your permit and then we can kind of proceed from there. I did have a couple of questions, but I want to let you guys go first.
Yeah, so as Mr. Risberger had said before, it is used as a space where we all meet bi-weekly to do our trash cleanups in the town. So we would start at the house, 56 Maple, and we go all the way on. We have like a little route from 56 Maple all the way down to Market Street, where we use it to do bi-weekly cleanings, as he had said before. Also, in terms of the new ownership, it's owned by Joseph Valetti now. And so he allowed us to live in the house this semester. It's me and one other person, Jake Aganuzzo, who lived there. In terms of just living there, the house has been renovated. And the fall semester was condensed, so now the house has been renovated. There's still renovations going on in the house to prepare for the fall when we are a full fraternity, if we do have the special use permit. And so far it's been going well under new ownership and with the conditions of COVID-19.
Yes, and additionally, I'd like to say, although I'm not necessarily familiar with all the full legitimacy in the documentation, we are a very well-rounded and respectable group of individuals. We haven't shown any members of the town any issues throughout the past several years, and I personally just don't feel as if there's a reason for us to lose our special use permit, as without it, we no longer have a chapter house.
The code right here.
So the renewals, I think, are already, I think we already posted on the agenda. I mean, it was already publicly noticed that these guys were up for
Okay.
renewal.
Okay, so you feel that we're okay in that regard?
Yeah. So when they made application, we sent out notices just like any other application. You know, it's all been publicly noticed. These are historically, they've all been. I think there was even a section in the application that says that they're a type 2 action under seeker because they're already reviewed, like, I don't know, in 2012 originally.
Correct.
So I think
it's there's not any physical change to the property.
Right.
And plus, but it is a discretionary decision, so it is subject to seeker. Okay. Thank you. So do any of the commissioners have any questions for the gentleman from Phi Kappa Psi about the special use permit? Hearing none, I had a question. I had heard that you guys from Phi Kappa Psi had some issues with a COVID-19 violation. And I just wanted to get a little bit of background about that, if you don't mind. And then
Okay, so to fully clarify the issue, after speaking with both IGC head Angie Eichler and I actually forgot the gentleman's name, but he's also on the board for the school. Last year, pre-COVID, I guess that there was a social gathering and they received a photo of that. There was one case of alcoholic beverages in the photo that was not at our exact chapter house. And they decided that we were serving alcohol to minors. And that was really it.
So then, and that was all rectified through the school. Right?
Yes.
Through the school, we received a temporary 3-month suspension. I had to attend several meetings throughout the rest of the year. We had to conduct chapter meetings to review our membership. We're currently still ratifying our bylaws, and we're also creating a new code of conduct for all of our members to follow. And in the event that they do not, they will be put under membership review.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
So does anybody have any other questions?
Before we go any further, I want to just clarify, before the board can approve a special use permit, These chapter houses all have to be up to date on their CSCs. This particular house has some outstanding documentation for that, which it's not related to the students, and I've discussed it with the property management company. I believe Dan Hunter's here as part of Joe Valetti's management crew. I don't know how the board wants to proceed. The option would be to potentially table this to discuss next month once all of that paperwork is completed. I don't know. I don't know if you can conditionally issue a special use permit. So yeah, that's just something to think about.
Point of clarification, would that be documentation once again that us as brothers would have to take care of, or is that more so on?
No,
the
it's
property owner?
related. It's related to the property owner. It's not related to the fraternity itself. That's why Dan Hunter's here, I think.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think that an appropriate course of action, it looks like aside from the outstanding code issues with the building, everything else looks in order. So how would the commission like to proceed?
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
I'm just reading through the code as well as you brought it up, and I just wanted to clarify. It says we need to do an official public hearing and then, notify all the neighboring property owners and all that. Are we covered?
So Carrie, I think
Been
you can.
done. Yeah, that's been done. We are required by statute to send notice to any neighbor within 200 feet of the affected property. We take that one step further and we send postcards to neighbors within 300 feet. It's also posted on the website. It's a legal notice. It's advertised with our weekly meeting notice. It's out as a public hearing.
And then on top of that, the meetings are being streamed on YouTube.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of public engagement associated with these. So thank you, Carrie and Stephen, for taking care of that.
Also, sorry, not to speak out of turn. I just wanted to say the letter for the 200 for the neighbors within 200 feet. Our president Jermaine Diggs did write that letter just in case if anyone needs it to be resent. That could be I can resend it.
Danny, it probably makes the most sense to table it until Steve gets all the information that he needs, and then we can go ahead and approve it in June.
Yeah,
at the June meeting.
That sounds good. We'll just we'll wait on that.
All right, so I'll make a motion to table it until the June meeting.
Okay, there's a motion made by Commissioner Maskin to table the Phi Kappa Psi special use permit application until the June meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Lappin,
Yes.
Commissioner Maskin,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanton,
Got it. Yeah, that's good.
you're muted.
Can you see it as well?
Oh,
Commissioner
yes.
Stanton, if you could unmute, please.
Okay.
There you go. That's much better. If you could log your vote, please.
It's yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Digan.
Yes, sorry. I thought you called me earlier.
That's okay. Motion passes.
You're stacking the votes.
All right.
Two yeses.
All right. So,
I only log you once. You're good.
all right. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your time. We'll see you next month.
I'm so sorry. There's a very loud motorcycle outside. I couldn't hear what was said.
I was just thanking you guys for your time. So your application was held over until next month. Once all the paperwork's received by the city code enforcement department, we'll revisit the application and then go through the approval process.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
You
Have a
too.
good
Thank you
night,
so much.
gentlemen.
Take care.
Also, just to clarify, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Do we still have to stay in the meeting now that our discussion is over?
No, you're good to go. We wouldn't want to keep you any longer than you have to be.
I was just making sure, but thank you all nonetheless. And I look forward to speaking with you all in June.
Thank you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the nice weather. Take care.
Thank you. You as well.
Thanks. All right. So next on the agenda, we have Tau Kappa Epsilon at 61 Elm Street. Is there any petitioner wishing to address this application?
I'm the president of Tau Kappa Epsilon, and I'm here with Aiden Randall, who's our vice president.
Great. No, very nice to meet you both. So you kind of want to go over a little bit over your application, what you're trying to do, and a little bit of background about the fraternity for those.
Yeah. So start off with a little background about the fraternity. We're a very established organization, Tau Kappa Epsilon, here in Oneonta. We've been here for 30 years. We have a very good relation with our community and our immediate neighbors. We have particularly good relations with the Veterans Club in Oneonta. We volunteer with them on a regular basis, and coronavirus has caused us to kind of not be able to volunteer as much as we'd like, and we like to return doing that. We also have a good relation with Valerie's Restaurant on Main Street. We've helped her out with things before. Tau Kappa Epsilon, we also have the highest GPA out of the fraternity in our college, and we're here trying to reapply for our special use permit that we had pre-COVID. We would like the special use permit so we can have a house of 12 brothers per usual, compared to without the SUP only be having 3. So we're seeking this special use permit as an opportunity to uphold us as a chapter so we can give back to the community.
Great, thank you. So do any of the commissioners have any questions about for the gentleman from Tau Kappa Epsilon? So Stephen, has there been any issues, any violations that we should be aware of?
I don't believe so. Dan, if you're there, do you know where this property's at? The CSC?
Yeah, we have our CFC on this one.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So now, if there are no questions, we can go through the.
Danny, I've got a question.
Sure.
This is for the fraternity. Is your fraternity under any current police investigation?
We are not under any police investigation.
This is the Hartwick TKE, right? Not Oneonta?
Yes, this is Hartwick, Tau Kappa Epsilon.
Gotcha.
Okay, so there's a TKE for both schools.
That's correct.
Yes.
The SUNY teak is not recognized there, Colony.
Yeah, to clarify, so
Okay.
we are a well-established chapter of Tau Kappa Epsilon at Hartwick College. At SUNY Oneonta, Tau Kappa Epsilon, they're classified as a colony, so they're not a recognized chapter. So we don't have any affiliation with them in that sense.
How much contact do you have with them?
I know when I got initiated into Tau Kappa Epsilon during spring 2019, we helped initiate some of their members at the time as sort of a startup initiative, but we haven't maintained any contact essentially with them since then.
All right, thank you.
I think that's a helpful clarification. That it could lead to some kind of some confusion, knowing that there's 2 now. Because we heard there was the issue with TKE, the unrecognized chapter from SUNY, and then when we saw TKE on the agenda, it led us to that line of questioning. So thank you both for the clarification. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes. Councilmember Risberger, thank you for asking that. I'm glad to clarify.
Yes. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns that we could address?
Okay, hearing none. So under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, this is considered a type 2 action, meaning that there's not likely to be an environmental impact associated with the renewal of the special use permit. Do I have a motion to classify the special use permit as a type 2 action under seeker?
I'll do so.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it then.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Stanton, seconded by Commissioner Maskin. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Lapp,
Yes.
Commissioner Maskin,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanton,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Dygan?
Yes.
Passes.
Great. So next is the review of the special use permit application. And looking at the packet, it appears that everything seems to be in order. Does anybody have any questions?
Danny, can we just release the previous, the folks that we just passed?
We're still talking about them.
Yeah, we're still talking about it.
Oh, we're still talking. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
we had to go through the seeker review
Oh,
process.
that's right. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, you're fine. So is there any discussion about the SUP regarding its compliance with the city code?
I mean, Stephen, is everything good from your end?
Yeah, I mean, so based on the the housing inspection process, they have an up-to-date certificate of compliance. So, we would say that they're in compliance with the city's housing rules.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the special use permit for Tau Kappa Epsilon?
So
moved. Take your pick.
All right, I'll say that Shane made the motion, Commissioner Dygan made the motion, and Commissioner Maskin seconded. Is there any discussion?
Chair, can I make a comment?
Sure.
Prior to the passing of any motion, our special use permits have a list of about 10 stipulations that they're required to meet. Each
Sure.
year consistently for the last 5 to 6 years, we failed to note them and then have to play catch up after.
Okay.
So I'd like to, if someone is amenable to amending their motion, indicate that the SUP is approved as presented with the stipulations.
Sure. Thank you. So I guess we'll have to, we didn't vote, so I guess I'd request Commissioner Dygan to amend his motion, initial motion.
So moved with that amendment. Not
All
the
right.
exact words.
Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, so this means that the special use permit, there's a motion to approve the special use permit after determining it complies with all applicable stipulations therein. Okay, so clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Lappin,
Yes.
Commissioner Maskin,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanton,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Dygan.
Yes.
Passes.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Council. Have a good evening.
Take care. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have Alpha Sigma Phi from 6971 Spruce Street. Looks like there's quite a bit of material in the application packet. Is there anybody here from Alpha Sigma Phi to able to address the commission?
Yeah, Rob, that's you. Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Delgiris. I'm a junior at Hartwick. I'm also the president. It's my second year being president. Thank you guys for taking your time out of the day to be here for everyone. Just a few things about our fraternity that I wanted to mention. We've been here at Hartwick since 1935. We've been at 6971 Spruce Street since 1949. Over the past few years, we've been working really hard with us, the school, and the community to gain better relationships. We've been working really hard this year to reach out to neighbors consistently, consistently give out contact lists where they can always reach out to us if they need anything. And this year we've been doing a lot of community service with the town. So yeah.
Great. So, so it looks like in the packet, it appears I see the COC or CSC. That's up. That's looks all good there.
So I want to just pause real quick on this one. So first of all, like, I know Charlie Solomon's here. This fraternity's done a ton of work to bring their house from a pretty terrible condition to basically turn it around. The deal with the COC at this particular property is it was associated for a short time. They were not allowed to function out of that house And that CFC is tied to, after they did a lot of improvements and they were waiting to try to get back to their, to get their SUP back. They operated that house as a rental property with 3 unrelated individuals living there.
I see.
That CFC is reflective of that rental condition.
Okay.
But we've subsequently inspected it, and they do have some violations that need to be corrected. I would consider them like pretty routine. So I don't know how the board wants to move forward with this, because technically they do have a valid CFC as a relation or as a representation of what you're seeing there. But we did an inspection, and there are a collection of code violations. So it's one of those things where I don't know if you guys want to table it and just we can review it again next at the next meeting, or how you want to do that.
Steve, how the violations, how serious is it going to take a while to fix, or is it something that they just need a few weeks?
And I've talked to Charlie, and I know that he's actively working on them. So it's not that there's anything of major concern. It's pretty routine. But I just wanted to say that this house actually under Charlie has really turned it around. I mean, it's kind of a from the ashes kind of story. So I mean, I don't know if you just want to. I don't know if you just want to hold on the table or how you want to kind of work that.
Sure. Well,
I would make a motion to table it until the June meeting.
So I
let them
believe
get everything tidied up.
I believe I heard Dave. Did you have a?
Yeah, sorry, I started the talk and I realized I was still muted. Yeah, I don't have a vote, obviously, but I would agree with Dan. Considering what we did with Phi Kappa Psi, and we don't have all of their documentation left yet, I would recommend that you guys table this one, and that way we're at least consistent with what we're doing here.
Okay. Okay. So, hearing that, do I have a motion to table the special use permit application for Alpha Sigma Phi?
So moved.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Maskin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chair Lappin,
Yes.
Commissioner Maskin,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanton,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Dygan.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. We will see you next month. This is kind of similar to the application from Phi Kappa Psi. This gives you guys just a little bit extra time to get everything in order with respect to the property. And we are certainly appreciative of investment made in our residential property in the city. So thank you, Mr. Solomon. We appreciate your efforts, and we will see you all next month.
Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Okay, so next on the agenda is Hawk Hill Solar. And I believe this is the application where there are several petitioners wishing to address the commission. And so I just want to give a little bit of background. I don't know how many, about our role and kind of the role of public comments. These comments are intended to go into what is known as the official record. They're intended to help us make a proper decision about the project. They're not intended to be kind of an opportunity to kind of talk about things that aren't related to the project or to lobby ad hominem attacks. This is supposed to be an iterative process. That said, our role is to review the environmental impacts of the proposed project and decide whether it complies with the City of Oneonta zoning code. There will be multiple opportunities to comment on the project. As long as it's before this body, the petitioners can come and address the commission, and we will take anything that the folks have to say into consideration. Also, if it to further assist us, the public can also is encouraged to provide comments in writing as well, so that we receive them as part of the packet and can refer to them at a later date as well, in addition to watching the recordings. So that usually helps everybody stay on the same page, especially when it comes to addressing mitigation measures and or environmental impacts. That said, are there any petitioners who wish to address the commission regarding the Hawk Hill solar application?
I do. In Griswold, and my husband Russ and I do have some questions.
Sure.
Would you like us to begin?
Yeah, yes, please. If you wouldn't mind.
So we are in the Suncrest Terrace neighborhood, and we have a couple of concerns. One is that the current documents that are posted on the internet appear to be 2 years old, and we're wondering if there is access to current documents that we can look at.
Okay, we'll make a note of that question. Once the applicant begins his presentation or his or her presentation, we will ask that question.
Okay, is it better for me to wait until the end for the rest of my questions?
You know, I think it'd be good just to get them all out. I'm sure that the representatives from Hawk Hill Solar are here and they're listening. So
excellent. So we would just like to clarify the access points. The access point, as we understand it, is in our neighborhood between 24 and 30 Suncrest Terrace. Sorry, 28 and 30. And this is a residential neighborhood with no sidewalks. And so we would like clarification of that access point, because that access point, number one, is shown incorrectly, we understand online. We are also concerned about the traffic in the neighborhood, since we have children in this neighborhood, no sidewalks, and we'd like to get some idea of that impact, and just ask why it does not, go through the campus itself where there are sidewalks. We're also concerned that all the neighbors in this area, I know there was a public notification in the paper, but people in this neighborhood should all have received notifications, since the traffic will have a high impact, I believe, on these on the homes here. We're also concerned, and we are in support of the project, by the way. We think it's a great use, but we just really want these questions answered. So another question we have is about the location of the transformer and the sound impacts from that. And I believe those are all of our current concerns. Thank you.
thank you so much. Is there any other petitioners wishing to address the commission regarding the Hawk Hill application?
Hi, Danny. I have some questions.
Sure. Could you please identify yourself?
Yeah, let me turn on my video. This is Mike Fosteroff, Bart.
And your address, please.
34 Spruce Street.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And I just want to say, although I'm a member of the environmental board, I'm speaking just as a citizen. I have some questions about the choice of location for the project.
Sure.
I agree that it's a fantastic project. I'm glad that Hartwick is moving forward with it, but I'm concerned that this is a much loved location on Hartwick's campus, and I believe there are some other alternative locations that would work just as well. And so, I mean, I'd love to speak about that further, but maybe it could wait till after the presentation, because I only know what I read in the documents.
Well, thank you. Is there any other petitioner wishing to address us? I see there's a phone number on.
Yes.
Could you please identify yourself and share your address for the record, please?
My address is 18 Suncrest Terrace, and my name is Jim Baker.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Baker. Please go ahead.
I've got a list of things and concerns that I want to bring to everybody's attention, and I want to present it first so that the people from this new name company, the Hob Hill Company, which I've never heard of before, can address these. And I want to start off, first of all, by saying that Dr. Drogovich has indicated many, many times that this project is at the top of their property. And when one has seen the draft of the proposal, it is some of the top of the property, but it's also the side of the hill that comes right down adjacent to the properties that are here. So the question that I have is, how close to a property line in a housing development should these actually panels be located. No one has come up to say anything. We were supposed to have a walk around. We have not. It's been promised to us several times, and we have not had a walk around yet. Second thing is, in investigating online and around the internet, one of the particular concerns that people are having right now are the glare effects of these panels, particularly close to housing projects. This is not only a concern of discomfort, but it's a potential problem of individual eyesight. The idea of reflection occurs, and we have no indication from anyone as to what kind of reflection we're going to have here. So that has to be discussed in great detail and has to be developed so that we, the people that are here and close to this, are given the proper health concerns to that particular area. The position of the sun that is going to be hitting that area indicates that they're going to be using solar panels that move. My question is, are there noises or concerns with this movement? And that is also going to play in with the reflection. So that's something that has to be discussed. One of the largest issues that happens on that hill is water. That hill right now is an absolute runoff area for any water that comes down on that particular side hill. What's going to happen when all of a sudden you put panels all over that top and side hill, and how are we going to deal with the water? The runoff has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed in a way that's going to protect all of the people on this particular hillside, as well as the pipes and so forth that the city has to get rid of water. So that has to be explored and adjusted in great detail. Is there any noise connected with the inverters that move these particular panels? That's something that has not been discussed at all. I do not know whether that's a good situation or a bad situation. There's also concerns, if you look up on the internet, about any toxic chemicals and land use consequences that these panels are located on. Because these panels have toxic chemicals connected with them, we want to make sure that we have all the guarantees so that none of these toxic chemicals will either be put on the land or affect the individuals that are here. We have concerns over wildlife. This whole particular area is a mecca for the deer and other animals that are out there. So this is something that has not been addressed or discussed to our understanding, and we want to make sure that we have that particular item addressed by this particular group. There are other things that are going to be happening that we don't know about because we haven't either had the walk around or the full discussion as to exactly where these panels are going to be and why they're located on the south fields that are the bottoms of the field that are very close to the houses here. We don't need them down there that close. They could certainly be adjusted upwards and still get the same effect that I believe you're looking for. So without going to traffic and all of these factors that we still have to deal with, those are my concerns, and I would like those fully addressed by the particular groups that are planning this so that we all can be informed and live a little bit more peacefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your input, Mr. Baker. We appreciate it. Are there any other petitioners wishing to address the commission regarding the Hawk Hill Solar application?
Annie, could I just clarify something quick?
Sure.
Please, is the documents that we have for this project, were they made available to the public, or do only we have them?
Everybody has them. The website is public.
The website, the Planning Commission website is public. All the stamped civil sets and the site plan application can be downloaded.
Okay. Thanks.
I think like we can, if they don't have internet or have trouble with technology, I'm sure we can make alternative arrangements. Okay, so are there any other petitioners here tonight regarding the Hawk Hill Solar application?
Oh, this is Kim Griswold again. I just have a question about the documents online because we have looked on the city website and we were unable to find anything current on there. So I'm not sure if we're not finding them in the right place, and you could point us in the correct direction. But that was something that we looked for specifically on the city website and did not find.
Sure, so you can get to them two different ways. One is by going to oneonta.my.us and clicking on boards and commissions. And then you should see a link for the Planning Commission at the top. That will bring you to their documents. You can also reference it by going to departments and then clicking on city clerk. And you will see it brings you to the same exact link, just in two different directions.
Okay.
Kim, I do have your email. I can send them to you. If you would like, I'll send you the link directly.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and so this will be, moving forward, this will be the area in which you can receive all information regarding the proposed project. We ask that all comments regarding the project are submitted as part of on record, just to ensure full level of transparency in the review. So that means submit it all to Carrie, make sure that everything's going through the city, so that way everyone's on the same page. So is there any representative here from Hawk Hill Solar here to discuss their project with the commission?
Sure. Thank you for having us. My name is Mike Cucchiera from Nexamp. I'm joined tonight by Liza Sheps and Reuben Hall. Liza and myself are from Nexamp, and we are the developers of the project. Reuben Hall is our civil engineer from Labella and Associates, who has put together the plan that you have before you today. We also, I know in the audience, Lisa Ianello and Kay Zulli from the Harvard College are here, maybe to discuss any background of the project and how we got to this point. Councilman Lapin, we do have a presentation. I don't know if now is the time, but happy to get started. We were going to do it in 2 parts.
Great. Yeah, I think that'd be, it'd be great. No time like the present. And then we can kind of go into the review process and let you know where everything stands. And then we can kind of go from there.
Terrific. Well, I'll go ahead and go first. And I want to thank the public for their questions. I think we at Nexamp, owner of Hawk Hill Solar, this is the project company for this particular project, recognize that, our application is just that, for site plan and special use permit to build, own, and operate this project that we think will provide great benefits both to the college and the surrounding community. We understand that it's an iterative process, and I think many of those questions and concerns will be hopefully starting to be addressed through this presentation, and certainly will over the course of the proceedings. And as far as the meeting on site, I am happy to do that. And I apologize, we did meet with some members of Suncrest, some community members on Suncrest Terrace through Zoom a while back, and that just has not been scheduled. So we expect to be back in the area in the coming month in June, and certainly would arrange that offline, perhaps through the college. But Liza, thank you for pushing through the slides. If you could just go to the first one. Just once again, that's our team that's presenting tonight. My name is Mike, I'm Vice President of Development for Nexamp Solar. I've been working here at Nexamp for 6 years. and in New York for over 5. And New York has become a really great market for us in the community solar and small distributed generated DG, as we call distributed generation solar projects across the state. We were founded in 2007 by Army veterans, as a startup, and started out, pursuing small renewable energy projects, and since have grown to a nationwide footprint with the backing of Diamond Generating Corporation, which is a subsidiary of Mitsubishi. They actually came, Diamond Generating Corporation is their independent power producer arm of the corporation. They were really looking to get into renewables and bringing those forth in the United States. And we were actually sort of identified by them and ultimately received significant investment from them to keep doing what we're doing, because they believed in the quality of work that we do. Right now we're active in 13 states, and unique to New York, I think we really are a full service provider. So I think one thing that should provide some comfort to the neighbors is that Nexamp intends to not only develop and build this project, but be the long-term owner. So we're not going to sort of flip this project, as they say, to another company or a bank or something like that, where the lines of communications get frayed. Myself and Liza would be involved in this project, hopefully through the construction and turning the project on, and then it would be handed off to our internal asset management team, internal operations and maintenance team that would run the project, and also our sales teams that deliver the energy credits to both municipal partners and colleges like Hartwick College, and also to residents that could benefit from these projects as well. Quick snapshot in Nexamp in New York. We have over 115 megawatts in some form of development or permitting at this point. 22 projects and about 107 megawatts that are currently in construction, with just over 12 projects operating right now, close to about 50 megawatts. It's not on the slide. And as of today, we have the highest number of community solar subscribers to our projects. And I could talk a little bit more about community solar in the next slide. So community solar, the way this project is structured, 60% of the project goes to residents who could subscribe to a project. What that means is that they're delivered energy credits on their bill at a discounted price. So dollar per dollar, if we put $100 credit on your bill, you would pay us $90 for that, and it would offset your $100 bill. In the same way, community solar also has a component called an anchor tenant. This is a large entity, such as a college or a corporation, a creditworthy entity that can anchor the project for financing purposes. And we know that they're going to be a long-term buyer of our power. And in the same way, they are benefiting from energy credits delivered to their bill. This came about through a competitive RFP process in 2019, finalized in late 2019, and Nexamp was awarded with this particular site in mind. Since that time, and since we've negotiated our lease agreements and credit sale agreements, we have moved forward with the development. So we have gone through a wide range of environmental reviews, interconnection studies, and are here tonight with our full plans and ready to discuss the project. Liza, is the next slide for you? Yep. So I'll hand it over to Liza, who's really going to be working on this project in detail with Reuben from Labella, and she'll get started, and then Reuben can, I think, address some of the particular concerns, especially around water and things like that. And I'm not going to stop the presentation right now, but I'm happy to come back and answer some of those questions, but hopefully we'll get to them in the conversation. So maybe there'll be time at the end, and happy to do that. And thanks for having us here today.
Thanks, Mike. So you can hear me, correct? Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give a little high level explanation of the project. So this is Hawk Hill Solar. It's a 5 megawatt project on Hartwick College's land, and therefore will be an accessory use to the college. The entrance is located off of Suncrest Terrace, like it was brought up before, between 28 and 30 Suncrest Terrace, utilizing and improving the existing roadway. This access road goes in through Suncrest Terrace and follows up the existing footprint up to the array. From a traffic standpoint, because I know that was brought up before, I can just touch on that quickly. During construction, there is added traffic due to this, bringing in some materials and those items. However, once this project is built, it's very minimal from an operations and management perspective. And during the construction phase, there are safety concerns that are put into place. It's actually my background, civil engineering, and I spent a few years in traffic and transportation design. So that is definitely taken into account when designing the project. It is also taken into account how that works. So up here is the 5 megawatt AC solar project. It's going to be a single access tracker system, which was shown in the previous slide. Unlike many solar panels, which you've seen, which are oriented east to west, these rows of panels are aligned north-south, and the panel itself actually rotates throughout the day to track the sun and is then stored flat at night. The maximum height of these panels is just under 18 feet at full tilt. As shown here, placed back to the back western edge there's an electrical pad with the transformer and inverter. And then as designed here, you can see this line with the X on it, and Reuben can go into more detail with this. There is an aesthetically pleasing wooden farm fence that surrounds the array. The fenced area is just under 23 acres. And then Hartwick College has 4 adjacent properties or parcels up here. The point of interconnection to the existing grid is actually on their adjacent parcel to the west out this way, and connects to the existing grid over here, at which point there is a small roadway about 200 feet long with the the equipment carrying utility poles per the utility. And then following on the town's preference, there'll be underground conduit bringing this wire from the array to the point of interconnection within the town's parcel, or Hartwick College parcel within the town municipality. And we met with them we met with the town of Oneonta on Monday night, and they are agreeable to this point of interconnection and the city taking lead agency on this. So Reuben, if you're on the call, our civil engineer we've been working with can take it from here to walk through the project further.
I was going to ask that, so we're gonna go over we can go over the whole seeker review process at the end and kind of discuss what we would need. So I'll let Reuben go ahead and present. Thank you, Ms. Sheps and Mr. Kuchera for your presentations. Let's keep going.
Great. Thank you. Again, my name is Reuben Hall. I'm with Labella Associates. I can't share yet. Is that there? All right, looks like I am in. If you can confirm that you can see my screen, I've got a plan that looks very much like where Eliza had left off.
Yep, we can see it. We got looks like we got a nice view of CAD there, so.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through from a high level to a detail level on the approach. Many of the questions or comments that came up earlier, I will touch on in my presentation. But again, as where Liza had left it off is that the overall project, here's the line between the city and the town. So we are spanning 2 jurisdictions. The array and the bulk of the work is in the city, which is why we're in front of you tonight. And as Liza stated, on Monday, we were in front of the town planning board to discuss the interconnection at the other end. So the approach to this is we have one set of plans that covers the entire project that will be reviewed by both jurisdictions. We have one stormwater plan that covers both. We have one seeker application that covers both, and the intent, and the town was on board with this approach, was allowing the city to be the lead in those efforts. We would hope that when it comes time, when we get into the seeker, that the city would take the role as lead agency, and the town would be an involved agency, and that we're not doing two seekers that could be seen as being segmented. We're looking at the entire project as one whole. Similarly, with the stormwater, the work that's going on in the town side is so incidental that it in of itself would not need stormwater permitting, but because it's associated with the larger project, we are taking into account that small level of effort, which again I will get into when I get into drainage. A blow up of the project itself, and to echo what Liza was stating, that this is the orientation of the array. The racks are east, west, or north-south in orientation, and each one of these black lines that you see is a series of modules that will rotate as the course of the day goes. It'll be from the east to the west. The site itself, we do have an access point here between these two homes on Suncrest Terrace. It is an existing gravel road. That gravel road is going to be updated. I've got a detail that I'll show at the end of these plans. It's in the benefit of Nexamp. For that roadway, there'll be a little bit of fill and management of the drainage. We recognize that there's some areas that are washed out here, and that in part of redoing and building this road to get from the bottom of the hill at Suncrest Terrace up to the top, where there will be this turnaround cul-de-sac. The road is going to be built to meet what's needed for construction, to meet what's needed for emergency access, fire egress, turnaround, any vehicle access that would be needed in here. But again, as Liza stated, once this project is done, there will be very little traffic. Operationally, there will be a maintenance vehicle that'll come in routinely just to check in and check up, or to respond if there's a need to respond. But in general, this is there's no personnel. Effectively, 24/7, 365. There's nobody stationed here. There's no need for vehicles other than a routine maintenance visit or inspections. During the construction, there will be the mobilization to get the equipment here. There will be a laydown area, an extension of the gravel that will be laid out here during the construction period. There will be weekly inspections that will be going on as this is going. So again, not to belittle the traffic piece, there will be traffic that will be coming in and out of this site during the construction phase, and that is a given. But once that's done, again, there will be very, very little. Quick jump to the other side. This is what we presented to the town, just so that you understand what is happening. Is there, from the array, there will be an underground conduit brought back down to a small short gravel road that ties into Sprague Road, where the utility company requires that road as part of maintenance and management of the poles that would be laid out. And if anybody wants any detail on those poles, and that's more of an electrical aspect, and Michael could certainly entertain all of you on the poles themselves. But again, a very, very small piece of it, but it is the connection from the array back into the grid to get this into the community. Now, a quick walk through the site plan. These are the plans that have been submitted. So I would hope that these are the reference plans that are available. These are the plans that should be available to the public. Full set of 12 cover sheet and index is the first sheet. The second is general notes. There's construction notes, the basis of where the information came from. We have some very extensive grading and erosion and sediment control notes. Any solar project that is being put in the state of New York has to go through or any of this type, community solar, has to go through not only the local process, but we have to go through a stormwater review and get a permit that will be scrutinized by DEC, and it's construction phase as well as permanent erosion control. How are we going to leave the site when it is done? And all of those notes are here. So those of you who from the public and from the board, from the commission, when you do get an opportunity to go through these notes, these are consistent with what the state looks for on any project of this size and of this scale. Next sheet is our overall site plan, just a more engineered version of what I already showed you. But on here, we also have the project data. Question had come up about the separation from the property lines. The zoning allowance is 40 feet from the setbacks within the city. We are in general at least 200 feet away from any of the properties that are on Suncrest Terrace. I believe the closest one is where the fence line is here near this ditch, and that's again about 200 feet away. Not only that, this is about 40 feet up the hill as well. So the question about the glare, any of these properties that are below are not going to have any issue with glare, because the way that the glare is going to work as the sun goes across the horizon east to west, the trackers are going to likewise turn east to west, and any glare that there would be upward. But not only that, the state of the art now is to have coatings on these panels that will mitigate any glare. So that is overall. Next sheet is our existing conditions plan, and this shows the removals, and that there is about 7.5 acres of tree clearing that there is on the western side of where there is wooded area. That is the extent. There's some existing gravel that's going to be removed and disposed, and this is actually going to be revegetated when it's done. Part of the benefit that we have going for us as we're doing our drainage, and this is part of what will be submitted to the state, is when the panels are put in place and the earth underneath is revegetated, we actually expect that this is going to be an improvement of drainage, because we're going to have infiltration that's going to be designed to take up the drainage through vegetation. We will still have to address the drainage at the roadway. And again, that will be something that as part of the roadway design and grading, that will be stabilized to the point where as part of Nexamp's desire to get into the site is going to be in their best interest to address those areas where there's some existing washouts. So there'll be an improvement over today's conditions with regard to the current erosion that you can see as you go into the site. This, I'm going to skip this. This is just showing the corridor. This is more for the town. Here's a blow up that shows without the aerial behind it. Again, you've seen that. This is one I think everybody is going to want to see, and that is the grading and the drainage. This is probably the meat of the project, as most of the public would be of concern. The slope generally is terraced here at where my cursor is going, and then slopes toward the east back toward these properties. There's an existing ditch line that follows on what I would say the southeastern quadrant of our project, and the wooded area along the northeastern project. We are not doing anything to affect the wooded area. We are not doing anything to affect the ditch line. What we are doing is within the array, these diamonds that you see, this is what's called a compost filter sock. It's a, if you'd picture a tube that's about 12 to 18 inches in diameter, that's made of decomposable material, and that's stuffed with compost, that basically is a sock that's laid out on the ground. And what these call, they're reminiscent of speed bumps, if you would, on a road, where there's going to be these, when it's all done, these will be here during construction, and they'll be left after construction. And what that does is, as the runoff comes down, they intercept that, and they form these little pockets behind them that will then trap and infiltrate the runoff, so that every 50, 75 feet, the runoff that's coming down the hill will be captured in these. And again, this is a permanent erosion control. It is something we have worked with state DEC to accept on areas of these types of slope, and the spacing of them is based on the slope of the land. So that is the erosion control that is proposed to protect both during construction and post-development, which is why I believe I can safely state on the record that the runoff that's coming down the hill toward these homes after the conclusion of this project is going to be reduced compared to what you may be seeing today, because we will be, by design, intercepting the runoff and infiltrating it back into the ground. These are designed to be driven over during construction. They are designed to be coiled and reset, so the contractor can work around them as the racks are being put in. And then when it's done, when the site is done, they'll be placed in a way that maintenance vehicles can either go around or over them. So they're designed, again, if you picture, if this was pavement and this was a series of speed bumps, that's what these represent. They're effectively speed bumps for the surface runoff. And that's the major practice that we're going to be using, again, for both temporary construction phase erosion control and permanent erosion control methods and drainage control. I don't know why I just doubled that, but this is what I want here. Next sheet. This is the road. These are roadway sections, that roadway profiles that have been provided for the board and any consultants that you've got, and for the planning for the city to review, to show how the design of the entrance road is and the various alignments. They range, 9, 12, 9, 4%. There are some, they get to be sizable, but they're not excessive. They are within the purview of maintenance and, again, emergency access. Then we have 2 sheets of details. This is a sheet of details generally for stormwater, erosion control, trenching. I wanted to show you a section of that compost filter sock. This would be, if you're looking through a section of it, this circle here is again, picture a sock, a tube that's stuffed with compost and laid on the ground. And the runoff would come down the hill, and it would hit this, and it would create these pockets that would then capture the runoff and allow it to infiltrate. And we would, again, have a series of these that the next 50, 75, 100 feet will be captured by the next one. So a series of those working their way down the hill. The rest of these are state standard erosion control methods for construction, silt fence, construction access, which would be a stabilized entrance so that your city streets are not going to be encumbered by dust or anything coming off of the trucks. All of the concrete work is going to be maintained, cleaned off within an area that's reserved on the site, and the washdown area will be on the site. So by the time trucks are leaving the site, they will be there won't be tracking mud. This is the gravel access road. It's a 12-inch thick access road with geotextile below. The geotextile is there as a stabilization. We know we're cutting this into and across hills. Then we have 9 inches of DOT style crushed gravel, and then a 3-inch top course of a finer crushed gravel. The purpose of this is instead of doing pavement, we're doing something that again can capture and infiltrate runoff. So stormwater is not going to be caught, collected, and conveyed into a drainage system. To the greatest extent possible, all the runoff is going to be captured within the roadway and infiltrated within the roadway in a system that's been engineered to meet vehicle loads, both for construction and fire apparatus. And the last sheet we have in the plan set is these are the construction details. These are generic details of the array itself, but I did want to show what Liza and Michael had both referred to. This is what a cross section of the array looks like. So if you're looking up from, in this case, north to or south to north along the axis of these racks, a series of these panels. Overnight, these panels are going to be stored horizontally. In the morning, timer comes on, their sensor will rotate it so that it's rotated to a predetermined angle to the east. Over the course of the day, it will then rotate through that angle. By the end of the day, it goes back to the west, and then at the conclusion of the day, it will rest horizontally. And part of that is by design. The reason it rests horizontally, one is it's the least wind resistant. Two, with regard to runoff, it's the least conducive to forming concentrated flows. One benefit of this versus a fixed array, where you see ones that are just mounted permanently and don't move. In a case of that nature, the runoff will hit the panels and they run off the edge. In this case, over the course of the day, it's constantly moving, so there is no concentrated collection of the runoff. Depending on the time of day, it could be coming off of this edge, it could be coming off up here, or it could be coming off the other side. So again, an added benefit in the stormwater modeling is that we have a variable stormwater flow hitting the surface. We're not forming ruts at the bottom, similar to what you might see at the eave of a house where you have a gutter, so to speak. That is the conclusion of the plans. I'm not going to go through the stormwater pollution prevention plan, but what I just put on the screen here is a almost 300-page document that we've had to put together that does go through all of the permitting, all of the stormwater management, the proposed conditions, the erosion control, the restoration, all the record keeping, and it goes through all the stormwater calculations, a soils report, typical inspection forms. This is going to have to be inspected once a week for stormwater and after significant events during the entire construction phase. All of those documents are included in here for reference for the city to review and comment on, for the public to review and comment on. But more so, this is produced for the DEC because the State Department of Environmental Conservation ultimately is going to issue the right to do this project based on stormwater and erosion control. And with that, I think I have taken a fair amount of time. I've answered a number of the questions that came up. I'll refer back to Michael or Liza with regard to the products themselves with glare and noise. The wildlife question about wildlife came up. Let me go back to the fence. What we're proposing is not a chain link fence. We're looking at a what we call a farm fence. And I know it's in my details, but so this is a fence that has a wider mesh that will allow, small, if there's rodents there now, if there are rabbits, if there are smaller animals and, that are going to go, they're going to be able to get through the fence. There's clearance under the fence. This is designed to allow the, as much of the fauna that's there to be able to get in. It is a 7-foot minimum fence that is required by code. It has to be 7 feet tall. If a deer can jump 7 feet to get in and then can turn around and jump 7 feet to get out. But the intent and the overall plan is not to restrict any wildlife around the property. The only restrictions would be any, any animals that would not be able to get through that mesh or over the fence. And again, the intent would be is that if an animal can get over the fence, they can get in, then they can get back out. And with that, again, I think I'll turn it back over, Mr. Chairman, to you, if you would like to, can direct any of the other questions or open it back to the public. Thank you.
Did we lose Danny?
It would appear that we've lost the chair.
Oh, man.
All right, so.
I'm not
any
sure I can do
questions
that
from the-
again.
Yeah, any questions from the commissioners? We'll keep moving on until he reconnects.
Well, let me ask a question. It's not particularly relevant to the stormwater or anything. This 5 megawatt array, how much total power in the course of a year do you expect to get from this system?
It's a great question. And so I would estimate, and I'd have to look at this, but approximately, give me 1 second, probably be close to about 6 million kilowatt hours.
Okay.
If you were to provide it for a resident comparison, you'd be looking at maybe 350, 400 homes that could be fully powered by the project. So that's a ballpark. I can get you some actual numbers after.
Well, that's close enough.
Be in that range.
How many panels do you have?
Let's see. So I'll do some quick math here. Panels would be 30, about 12,000 panels.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I'd also note, another question, I think, as far as water runoff, one nice thing about these projects is that the amount of impermeable surface is really relegated to the road and the equipment pad, which is fairly small in relation to the larger project. Each of the posts that hold up those panels are sunk into the ground. No concrete footings, no additional impermeable surfaces. So, throughout the array, outside of the road and that equipment pad, which may be 100 to 200 square feet, the rest is going to be fully vegetated. So I just wanted to make that point. Sometimes people have it in their head, and there are types of solar projects that have these concrete footings. This is not one of them.
So you're in process for getting pilots from the city, town, and school?
Correct. So we have not been contacted from the city. Liza notified through letters, the city, county, and school district. We have received notice from the school district and the county that they would be, or Liza, am I getting that wrong? Was it the city that we got? Sorry, I believe, so 2 of the entities we have letters back indicating they will enter into the pilot. We're missing 1 at this point. but yes.
Stephen, is that a city council decision?
In regard to the pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the city council would have, they would be the ultimate authority on anything related to that. I mean, the code office, the planning board, the zoning board, those are all, those are all processes related to like land use. So the city council has purview over the, legislative, financial stuff.
Okay.
Chair Lappin is working on connecting if any other commissioners do have questions for the presenters.
I noticed that on the EAF, you indicated that you needed SHPO to sign off, but why would that be? State Historic Parks.
There's a National Register property on Hartwick's campus.
Oh, okay.
Adjacent property to the parcel that the solar array is being put on.
Okay. It's not in, so DEC would just be the stormwater. It's not in the vicinity of any endangered species or anything like that?
Correct.
Can you give us an idea of the noise level that's going to be emitted in the area that these panels are going to cover?
Sure. I could speak to that. I meant to get back to that question. So the largest noise emitter would be the inverters of the project. In the most recent designs, we have moved those on purpose to more of a central location in the project. Reuben give us exact numbers at a later point. My estimation between 400 and 500 feet from any property. The decibel level is approximately 73 decibels. So it'd be equivalent to loud talking or a vacuum cleaner, and dissipates quite quickly over 100, over that 500 feet to where we believe would be imperceptible inside someone's home or in the backyards of their home. So that would really be the only source of any noise. The trackers are moving so slow that there is no noticeable noise associated. I'd imagine if you were there as they were rotating, you might hear something, but they are also meant to be efficient and not noise would be an indication of inefficient movement, and we wouldn't want that. But the speed and the efficiency of them would not add to the noise concern. So really the only thing would be that transformer inverter area. And like I said, we believe situated in the middle of the project will not cause any noise concerns for the residents.
Just to add on to that, Mike, I just measured that. It's over 1,000 feet from the equipment pad to the nearest property line.
Okay, thanks, Liza.
Mm-hmm.
I would also add, and this goes back to sort of the concern about toxic chemicals. One big concern with toxic chemicals sometimes comes from transformers. We do not use any PCB type coolants in our transformers. So we're actually using, as a natural plant derived oil, vegetable oil, if you will, that cools the transformers. So the transformer does not have any hazardous material on it. The panels themselves, I think, yes, they have metals in them and other components that could be considered hazardous. However, they are in a solid state. They are not in a liquid form. They will not drip or leak from these panels. These are solid state materials encased, and the silicon and those metals that are in there are encased in that chip, surrounded by metal and glass. There will be a discussion eventually about decommissioning of these panels and the responsibility of Nexamp to commission these projects. So we can discuss the proper disposal at the end of life or recycling, as I should say, as we're working on right now. And in addition, if any panels are damaged or broken, they would not be on that site for very long. We monitor these projects 24/7. When we see components of them broke, they're immediately or within a very reasonable amount of time fixed, because it also affects our production of energy, which is how these projects make money. So, you know, as operated efficiently and properly and maintained, in our view, there is no hazardous material waste issue associated with these projects.
Thanks for bringing up the decommissioning. This is a question, I guess. One is, what is the lifespan of this project? And two, maybe this is more for Stephen, but I don't believe we have a solar law. So is a decommissioning agreement something we would need to work out with Nexamp?
The city of Oneonta currently has no, we have no legislation on solar paneling. It's kind of one of the things that we obviously need to address, being that we've had 2 of these projects now come up that are fairly large, you know, large projects that are outside of just like a residential, you know, rooftop mounted setting. So yeah, it would be something that would have to be part of the site plan agreement or something that would be in the approval. Because the city currently has no, we have no legislation governing how these are installed or what, you know, what their lifespan is and how they're removed. And, you know, that's totally outside of the current zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I think it would behoove us to make sure we have some sort of written agreement or a surety.
I agree. Sorry, I apologize to everybody here. My computer crashed, so I got the black screen of death and it just went away. So I'm back.
If I could, I'll make a comment for Hartwick College. We spent a good deal of time working very closely with Nexamp to come up with a ground lease agreement for this project. And we do address in there how this project will be decommissioned. Because one of the concerns of the college was that after the lifespan of this project, that the land be returned as close to possible as what it was before the project. And we had many discussions about that. So our agreement does address that.
So we appreciate that, but I think that I agree with Commissioner Diagan in that, you know, since this is the second project of this nature in the city limits, it behooved the city to have its own, and you know, I'm sure that it would be quite similar to the agreement with the college. So I did have a couple of questions, but I let the other commissioners go first since I had crashed, and I'd be discourteous to cut them off. So please, any other commissioners?
Danny, before you get started, unfortunately, I need to step off. I think you still have a quorum if you need to vote. So if that's not going to.
Sure,
I just want to let you all know that, but I didn't want to stick you without a quorum, but I think you're still good.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I think we'll be okay. We appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
So do any of the other commissioners have questions regarding the proposed project?
We had a chance to ask questions already when you were out.
Oh, so you're good. So I have several questions. I guess I'll just ask a few right now. And then we can kind of talk about, you know, the secret review process, and I'm sure everything will be explained through that. I had a question about the trail access. Currently, Strawberry Fields is used by, you know, myself and many of our neighbors and city residents as a, you know, a nice hiking area and a connection between the Job Corps hike trails and Table Rock. I know that Hartwick's property is private, but I was wondering if representatives from the college or representatives from Nexamp would talk a little bit about the existing trail access on the site and how the project would affect that, and what, if any, plans there are to mitigate the impacts associated with trail accessibility. If that's already been asked, I apologize. I'll watch the recording.
It was asked twice, Danny.
Okay. All right. So I'll watch the recording. Okay, great.
No, I was kidding. Yes.
No, this is something also that Hartwick did talk with Nexamp about during the project, and of course, you know, we are also going to need accessibility to the top of that hill as well for various reasons. So there will be a way, and also with the fence there, it will create an enclosure so that we don't have to worry about safety concerns on the part of the college for, you know, people being up there. So yes, we have discussed this with Nexamp, that we still would like there to be accessibility on the top of that hill. It might not be in the same exact way that it was before, but there will be accessibility.
Great, thank you.
And that's not in the position of any of the existing trails that are through the woods or anything like that up there.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful for the sake of review. Is there any way we could get a map overlaying the proposed project in the existing trail system? Or at least, you know, it could be very rough, but I'm sure that's something that can be done on CAD or GIS pretty easily. I mean, just to clarify, I do that for my day job. So.
We would certainly be able to do that. I don't know if there's one publicly available, and I could work with Reuben, but if we need to ask the college for do an overlay, we'd be happy to do that.
Our C2, our existing conditions plan shows 2 trails that go across there. There's a grass trails, and I don't know the names of them specifically, but there are actually there's 2 side by side and then another one on the western edge. So we show trails that are there that were picked up during the survey, and what we can do is work with college and with NextAmp as to how to link the ends back together after this is done.
The C2 sets. So that's in
the
the
C101.
Okay.
Thank you, Reuben.
Oh, there it is. Yep, I see it. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe if that could just be spruced up a little bit, make it a little bit easier to view. I got it. I found it. Thank you. And then, so I'm sure, like I said, there'll be many other questions. Regarding the SWIP, I saw that, you guys are complying with the stormwater design manuals, green infrastructure requirements. And then also I had, that said, I was wondering if you would be willing to kind of share. I know that there's been some discussion in the past about whether solar panels count as pervious or impervious surfaces. That's been going around the world, kind of my neck of the woods for a long time, but I think it'd be worth providing that clarification on record so that the public's aware.
Yeah, I don't know at what point yours had crashed. I did speak a little bit about how we were addressing the stormwater. The panels themselves are not considered to be impervious. The entire area underneath them is vegetated. And what these particular panels will do is they rotate over the course of the day. So the runoff actually changes over the course of the day, where it'll be coming off the east side of the panels half of the day and the west side of the panels the other half. So there's no concentrated flow that you would find, say, with a shed roof or something along those lines. And then the area below is completely revegetated. So the only impervious areas that we have are associated with the equipment pad, the concrete that's associated with the equipment pads. The gravel road that we're doing is designed to be impervious. It's designed to infiltrate. So so in general, the only truly impervious material that's going to be put down at all is the concrete for the equipment pads. The racks themselves are embedded. There's no footings or foundations that go along with them. I guess technically the footprint of the piles are a couple inches diameter, but there is no concrete pads associated with those.
Excellent, thank you. So that's helpful. I appreciate the clarification. Thank you so much. So does any of the other commissioners have any further questions? Or Steve, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, and so going forward, there's going to be several other opportunities for the public to comment. So what's going to happen right now, just so for the public's awareness, is we're going to start the environmental review process associated with the proposed project. And considering the size of the project, there's several steps that have to be completed. So this won't be the only meeting related to this project. just so everybody knows.
Mr. Nalapin, I have one question.
Sure.
Should we, going back to decommissioning, is that something we could authorize Mr. Yearly to work out outside of our meeting?
I think that what we can do as a commission, not to overstep our bounds, we could probably pass a motion requesting that the legislative committee of the city consider adopting a solar law that provides guidance regarding projects of this size.
That might significantly slow things up.
Well, I mean, it would depend on, there's several options that we could consider regarding this. And I think that it'd be worth having discussing this a little bit more. So I think that when it comes to development, go ahead, Steve.
Sorry. So pre-COVID, we had started looking at model ordinances for this type of project. It just, we ended up switching a lot of our focus during COVID to kind of basic necessity type operations. So we didn't move forward with it, but there is a model ordinance that's already kind of been kicked around. But yeah, I mean, it would take time to put anything in front of the council, probably longer than you would want to.
Right.
Wait for
right. So kind of my thought would be is that we would have to think about, I think this is something that would be worth having, whether or not we want to apply it to this project. I think it'd be worth getting a little bit more, we'd have to enact a moratorium, and I think that's a council decision as well. And so I think for right now, I think it'd be worth having, the commission we should discuss that, whether or not we want to see if a solar law, if it's worth creating and passing a solar law to help us review this project, or if we feel that we can create a solar law in parallel so that should other projects come along, we would be prepared. So I think that's an item for discussion.
Right. It may be that if we do it in parallel, we just have to work it out. It seems like Nexamp is probably willing to, I mean, maybe I shouldn't assume that, but hopefully they're open to working on a decommissioning agreement. But yeah, maybe that's a question for Mr. Risberger. I don't know.
I think what we can do is we can I think it'd be worth starting the discussion. So it'd be worth passing a motion requesting that the legislative committee consider adopting a solar law in response to we've had 2 solar projects in the past 2 years. And with the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act being what it is, we can anticipate a lot more solar projects coming down the pike and other alternative, distributed generation projects coming along.
And if I can quickly speak from, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As a member of the legislative committee, I think this is a good idea to bring that up and work on a solar law, but it could take time.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't want to rush that through just for a particular project. So yeah. I would do that separately from the decision.
Yeah, my thought is, I agree with you, Councilman Risberger. My thought is to do that in parallel and proceed with the review process related to this project. The commission, we have an excellent track record of very thorough seeker reviews. And so I'm confident that with everyone here would be able to review this project with the scrutiny it deserves. So do we have a consensus on that? Regarding asking the legislative committee to consider solar law for passage sometime in the future, and then proceed with the review of this project in front of us.
Well, let me make a comment here.
Sure.
It's critical with windmills that you have a decommissioning process. Solar panels are going to last 20, 25 years, and it'll probably be worth replacing them once they have all the equipment in charge. So from a practical point of view, I don't think we're going to have to rush the solar law.
Sure. There'll be a lot of time, and I think that the technology and level of learning regarding solar facilities is always evolving, as you say, Commissioner Stanton. So I think we have plenty of time.
Yes.
So
Well,
going,
if we work out a separate agreement with them, say on decommissioning, we might adopt a solar law, but it wouldn't apply to them, right? Because we've already worked out a previously agreed upon.
Yeah, it would be pre-exist. You would have already
Right.
approved the site plan.
yeah, we would have approved this one, but it would apply to any project in the future. So this project in front of us would be grandfathered in. You know, assuming that we adopt a solar law. So as far as the seeker review process goes, there's several jurisdictions involved, as the gentleman from Nexam presented, and Reuben from Labella showed us in the civil sets. So while we did hear that the town of Oneonta did state, you know, I guess verbally, that they were okay with us being lead agency, I think it would be appropriate for us to file a notice of intent to be lead agency and submit it to all other entities we feel might be involved or might have might want to be lead agency, just to kind of give the other groups a chance to, you know, officially confirm in writing or not that we are in fact the most qualified entity to be lead agency. And then we would probably wait to see if we receive any comments back. And then if we hear none, then we can proceed with the classification of the action and initiation of a coordinated review, considering that this project appears to trigger the type 1 threshold under seeker. Right? Is that correct, Stephen?
Yeah, and I just want to throw out, we have not heard back from the county on the 239M. So I don't know if Shane, if you can, if you have anything to say about that, or if it's just, but I haven't received anything back from the county.
Obviously, I'm not the one doing it, but I can check in on the status.
Oh, no, yeah, I was just saying, I haven't received anything from the county. So before we could do anything, we would need a response from that.
Oh, are you talking about the 239 or you're talking about lead agency?
The 239M form. We can obviously discuss seeker, but we couldn't approve any sort of site plan without hearing back from the 239M form.
When did you submit that? Do you remember?
I'd have to look at my email, but it was pretty much the same time I received the application. I don't know, within 2 days of receiving the application, I got a confirmation from the county.
Because he has 30 days. So
yeah, I had heard that the counties are taking their full 30 days.
Yeah,
that does happen sometimes. And then there will be, so I think that doesn't necessarily apply to seeker, but because the project falls between 2 municipalities, we would reach out to the county to see if they have any interest in being lead agency too, just because it's intermunicipal and those projects kind of generally fall in this area where we have to just make sure that everybody's okay with us assuming the lead agency role.
yeah, you can send the letter, but
I doubt that we'll get a response, but just to cover all bases. And I think that it may be worth just to, like, if we make any decisions regarding the project, to make sure that we keep the town of Oneonta Planning Board and by extension Supervisor Wood aware of what's happening. And with respect to the project review, I know that I appreciate the folks from Nexam taking the initiative and going there and bringing up the topic of lead agency with them. I think that for our purposes, I'd like, maybe it'd be worth, if we don't hear from them when we file our notice of intent to declare lead agency, perhaps we could request something in writing from them to that effect so we can put it in the record, just so we have it. I'd feel more comfortable. I don't know what the rest of the other commissioners feel.
So we can't declare lead agency right now. We have to notify others first.
Yes, and I mean, that's kind of my thought, because there is more than one jurisdiction involved.
Okay.
We're not we are the largest, and we are probably logically the most qualified, but just to make sure that we cover all our bases, I think that's kind of what I'd want to do. If you feel that's not necessary, we could go ahead with the lead agency designation.
No, that's fine with me.
Okay, with that said, I'd like to open the floor for a motion for us, the City of Oneonta Planning Commission, to file a notice of intent to declare lead agency. We'd send that to the Otsego County Planning and Solid Waste Department and the Town of Oneonta, care of Supervisor Wood, I believe.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Dygan. Do I have a second?
I second it.
A second by Commissioner Stanton. Clerk, any further discussion?
Just to add, the confirmation for the 239M was May 5th, was when the county actually officially sent us a received notice.
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lappin,
Yes.
Commissioner Stanton,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Dygan.
Yes.
Passes.
Thank you. Let me just maximize my window. Do any of the representatives from Nexamp or Hartwick have any questions for us or any comments?
I would just thank everyone for all their questions and thoughts tonight. I guess my one question would be, since you're notifying agencies, is that a 30-day period to hear back from them?
Yeah, so if
circulate.
So I think my understanding is that if we don't hear from them by the next planning commission meeting, we would proceed. We'd assume that the jurisdictions we've notified have agreed that we are most suited to be lead agency. So then we would declare ourselves lead agency, and we would then proceed with the classification of the action. We get the seeker review process going. And then we'll make sure that the public is aware of when the meetings are. So if they have any questions in the meantime, that they come forward to talk about it. And just to kind of reiterate, we would like the questions to be submitted in writing as well as submitted verbally if that would be possible, so that the folks from Nexamp and us can thoroughly consider the input that folks have to share. I think it'd be helpful just to have everything in writing so that we can kind of make sure that we pay the full attention each of the public comments deserve.
That would also follow past practices that we've used for other projects like Lots on Deets or the
correct. Yeah, correct. So the Lots on Deets project, that was a very involved seeker review process, and the public taking the time to provide comments in writing to us really helped in our review, and it was much appreciated. Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda.
Chair Latham, can I ask one question as a member of the public?
Sure, absolutely.
Some of the questions weren't answered tonight. I don't know if it's now is the appropriate time to ask it, or if it should just be saved till the future meeting or submitted in writing. What's the committee's preference?
I think if you could submit them in writing, just so we have it on record, that would probably be good, and then we can discuss it at the next month's commission meeting.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. Just very briefly, my two concerns are why this location was chosen, and because it does not seem to be optimal for a number of reasons. Now you need to turn this off. And the second is that the trail comment that you brought up was not addressed, and that's a concern of mine as well.
Sure, that's appreciated, and I think in the seeker review process, that's something we'll definitely consider. And
so Danny, just to the way we did it with Lost on Deeds was we collected all the written questions. We provided those questions to the developer and to the planning commission. It gave the developer a chance to answer those questions in writing by the next planning commission meeting, so that instead of kind of doing stuff on the fly, we had like a full written narrative of question and answer so that things were specifically addressed. By doing that, it kind of enables everyone to ask their specific question, and also it provides everyone with an ability to answer those specific questions in a fashion that's more than just, you know, kind of off the cuff or like,
Sure.
you know, at a meeting. So like, I think that the written question format is a really good way to do this, so that by the next meeting, we've kind of got all those questions collected and everyone's had a chance to review the site plan, and they can kind of be like, you know, fully built out and like fleshed out in that format.
Great. That's an awesome idea. Thank you, Stephen. I think that's great. So if I might ask, representatives from NextAmp, is that something that's agreeable to you? If we were to set, like, is there a specific deadline you'd like the questions to be submitted to you ahead of the June meeting? That, you know, would give you enough time to respond in writing?
I have no issue with that. I think that's a good idea. I think maybe a week's time would allow us to five business days, give us a chance to respond.
Great. So if I were to look at the calendar,
Chair, just to clarify my understanding of the notice of intent process, the 30 days starts when they receive the EAF, correct?
Correct.
So we will not have enough time between now and the June meeting to place this on the agenda.
I see. So we'd have to wait.
It's unfortunately going to have to wait until July.
So my question would be, could we put it on the agenda with the understanding that we might get a response before then?
Sure.
I mean, if we publicly notice a meeting, it's, you know, it's at least been noticed. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I think that would be good if we could do that. As I said, it doesn't seem likely that there would be an entity to dispute the city of Oneonta as lead agency, but I think we proceed as, you know, as planned with the June meeting. It should be, and then if we hear something else, we'll address it at that time. But I think that considering the entities that we're reaching out to, they would likely respond with interest in being lead agency pretty quickly, or if they don't, if we don't hear from them by the June meeting, I think it'd be pretty unlikely that they would have any objection. So going back to the calendar, so it looks like our regularly scheduled meeting would be held on June 16th. So to meet Mr. Kuchera's deadline, we probably would like all comments to be submitted to Carrie or Stephen by June 9th at close of business, so 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. whenever the city hall offices close. And so I think if we could also maybe post something on the city Facebook or somehow send out a notice to the public just to encourage comment and kind of who to submit it to, how to submit it, and when to submit it by. I think that'd be good too.
Sure, I can put that announcement out this afternoon or evening.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I will be sure to share it. Many of the folks who commented today, actually my neighbors. I live on College Terrace. I'm just down the hill from you guys, from where the project site is. So that said, is there any further discussion on agenda items or any other business that commissioners would like to bring before us tonight?
The MU
Yes.
code being reviewed within the legislative commission.
The zoning code, you said? The form-based code?
Yep. So the code update's in front of the legislative commission right now, and it's been distributed to the entire council. So that is moving forward. And the SHPO got back to us on the CLG ordinance, and that is being reviewed right now so that we can enact it and it can go to the National Park Service for our CLG status.
Great. If there's anything that the Planning Commission can do to help with the Legislative Committee's review, let us know. And yeah, that's good news about the CLG. I hopefully we can get both documents through quickly.
Commissioner Lappin, I just have an update, just really quick. Tomorrow, our department, Otsego County Planning, is doing a training with the Department of State on 239 reviews. That's tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. and you can sign up. I think it's on our website. If not, I can email out the link, but I just wanted to let you know. Open to any municipal official, planning board official, ZBA. So
if you could resend the link to everybody on the commission, that'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be there. The trainings are usually very helpful. They're usually in person, held at Milford, but due to COVID, we haven't had the chance.
Things are changing.
Yep. All right. Is there any other business?
Will there be a virtual pie and punch available?
Well, if there is any pie available, send it my way. All right. So looks like, does anybody have any other business to bring, or are we good to adjourn? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Commissioner Thomas. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Digan. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Get some rest.
Yeah, good night, folks. Thanks.
Thank you all for attending.